In this lesson I want to show you something really fun to do, and it's just how to make up a bass line and link it together using very simple minor pentatonic notes. Well, minor and major. We'll get onto the theory side of stuff later, but first of all we're just going to dive in and play. Nothing tabbed for this, just making stuff up. So as we go I'll introduce a few little concepts, but here we go, we're going... We're going to start off with that very, very simple groove, 110 beats per minute or there or thereabouts. And it's C sharp to B, so 4th fret to 2nd fret of the A string. That's one bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're making this up yourself, which I'd like you to try, you can use any rhythm you like, any style really, but let's stick to this. Sort of Bernard Edwards inspired, but then we'll get on to some other styles later. Then it's those frets the other way round on the E string, so frets 2 to 4, F sharp to G sharp. That's the basic groove, and whilst there is some theory going on, like there's a chord progression going on there, I'm not going to get too heavy into it, but as the lesson goes I probably will end up talking about it a bit. But for now, just frets 4 to 2 on the A string and then 2 to 4 on the E string. Pretty easy to remember. Now the whole point of this lesson is how you can take simple root notes like that and just groove away with it, but then link up those notes in more of a musical fashion by using this scale. So all of those notes make up C sharp minor pentatonic or E major pentatonic. They're both related. At the moment we're focusing on the minor version of it. We're starting on C sharp. As I go on in the lesson I'll move on to another thing, which I don't know what it'll be yet. I'm just going to make it up. So now I can use those notes, and you can download this shape right here in a PDF below. You need to remember this. So open string E. Then it's really easy. You've just got frets 2 and 4 on the E, the A, and the D string. Then it's nearly the same. It's now frets 1 and 4 on the G string. So the idea is, without really even thinking too hard, all I'm going to do is use those notes to link up the original bass line. Any of the notes sound really good. This is very much something I probably stole or learned really from Bernard Edwards and all his great bass lines with Chic and Sister Sledge, etc. He would do that a lot. You end up creating a really cool riff. And whilst I'm making stuff up and improvising, you can grab hold of an idea and come up with an actual written bass line. I'm going to play along to the drum beat. I'll give you that as well in the link below. At the end of a phrase is quite a good place to put a fill, and that's what I did there. I did go out of the shape that I just gave you, but instead of playing the G sharp, which is the 1st fret of the G string, I slid to it. So what I did there is I did a hammer on from frets 2 to 4 on the E and the A strings. And it's just these notes. I'm sometimes guilty in lessons of layering on too much information. This lesson I'm not going to do that. I'm literally just going to use minor pentatonic notes. probably just those notes. I might just move the pattern a bit, but I'm not going to do anything else. So what I did there was a hammer on between frets 2 and 4 on the E and the A strings, plucked the second fret of the D string, the E, and the F sharp, plucked that as well. And then I slid 2 frets higher to the G sharp and back down again, so slowly. So it's 3, 4. So you slide, you pluck once, slide out and back in again. Play the E, play the C sharp. A pretty good bass line. Let us move the chord progression around, or maybe make it simpler. Let's just now go C sharp, G sharp, F sharp, back to G sharp. Simple. Let's do that. I was tempted to move it around there a bit, but let's keep it simple. I'm just playing notes from the pattern. You just have to remember what note you're going to. And there I was struggling to remember. Very simple. C sharp, G sharp, F sharp. Now let's take this opportunity just to have a little pause. And I will just take 1 minute to explain a tiny bit of theory here. So what we are doing is we're in the key of C sharp minor, which is this scale here. Okay. And I'm just removing 2 of those notes from that scale just to be left with a minor pentatonic scale. So the second note of the scale, the D sharp, and the A, removing them. Okay. So what that leaves us with is a bunch of notes that we can just move to, and in music you have chords that are created from a scale. So on the C sharp, if you play the first and the third and the fifth of those notes, you get, in this case, a minor triad, and then you put those together and you get a minor chord. So that chord fits to the notes. That would be a C sharp minor chord. If we do the same thing on the B, so we get the first, the third and the fifth, we get a B major chord. B major chord. Then the F sharp, do the same treatment, first, third, fifth, F sharp minor, and then G sharp minor. So we get chords on each different root, and I'm not thinking about that here. I'm just playing the root, and I'm just using notes from the scale to link it up. I'm not really thinking anything beyond that. But it would help to know that to make even better bass lines. Let's move on to something a bit different. Now, I said I wouldn't change things too much. I am going to add the A in, though. So in the scale, in this shape that I gave you earlier, there's no A, but the A is really nice. It's really useful. It's a note that you can go to just make a bit more of a chord progression. So let's go. Just that, C sharp to the B, to the A, to the B. Chord-wise, that would be a C sharp minor to a B, to an A, to a B. Let's use the drum beat again. I'll try and do a different rhythm. It's in my head now, but I'll try and do a different rhythm. Just root notes, then link it up with the shape. At the end, I was moving to slightly different notes there, but I hope you're getting the point. It's just that lots of bass lines do things like that, where they're just playing root notes, but then linking up melodically using very often that scale. It just works really well. Earlier on, I mentioned C sharp minor was related to E major. So I'm going to use the same notes now, but now I'm going to start on an E, and now it's going to sound major. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing. This is the other one I had slightly pre-planned. This one I'll do on the fly. Okay, we're going to go at E. We'll go to the C sharp. So now E is 1. C sharp is 6. We can actually start to use the lingo. I'm doing a 1 chord because it's the first degree, the first note of the E major scale. It's called the 1 chord. Then if you go up 6 in the scale, you hit the 6, that's C sharp. That would be C sharp minor, but that's the 6th chord. Let's do A. Very cliched, very, very simple. Let's do that root notes and then some linking stuff. At the end, I just stayed on some C sharp minor. So you can just get into this and you can actually start to write music as well. I'm forced into a certain way of playing with this particular drum beat. So you may use different drum beats, you may do different tempos, different keys, all that kind of thing. You'll actually start to be improvising and start to exercise your creative chops as well as, you know, your technique as well. Because if I'm doing this, you know, you need a certain level of technique to play that. So a couple of ways you can just practice that, the technique side of things. You've got the shape here. I'm just sequencing the notes. Now you absolutely have to know where all those notes are on the fretboard. It would be great to know the name of the note and the interval, but just literally you could just learn it as a pattern. Open string, then you've got 2/4 frets all the way, and then 1/4. Then it's just a case of playing those notes in an interesting way. So there, if I'm thinking this, I'm doing 16th notes and sequencing, which just means coming up with different patterns. You can break out. Improvising is much easier if your ear kind of knows where you're going, so you know the sound of the scale, and also that your fingers are just bang on and they're coordinated. You know, that's practice that comes down to just drilling this stuff up and down as much as you can. I'm going to end by playing the same chord progression as I did at the beginning. I'm going to use a couple more notes, so just that actually. So basically frets 6 and 4 are joining the party on G and D. And actually it's really just that note there that's extra. Moving the G sharp from 1st fret G string to 6th fret D string, that's it. Just gives me a bit more scope to mess around a bit. So I'm going to go C sharp, B, F sharp, G sharp. See what happens. You really can have hours of fun doing that, and I hope you do. So download the PDF. I'll give you a couple of those shapes. I'm going to give you the drum beat as well. And it's just a case of, you know, making up your own movement of notes. It doesn't have to be C sharp to B, F sharp to G sharp. It can be any order of those notes. And then just see where you go with it. You can do any style, you can do whatever. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, give the video a like, share, subscribe to the channel, and if you've got any ideas or any questions for lessons, you know, whatever, just let me know in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.